I'm Zahir, Kelvin Abdullah, and this is Nightline. The top stories. Iran hits Israel with retaliatory strikes. Hundreds of ballistic missiles fired towards Israel. And private educational institutions to get one-year training levy waiver from 2026. The West Asia conflict continues to escalate as Iran and the Tel Aviv regime vow to proceed with further strikes until their goals are achieved. Tehran launched a retaliatory strike on Israel, firing a wave of missiles and drones in response to recent attacks on its nuclear facilities. Iranian officials confirmed the strikes early Wednesday, claiming they targeted military bases near Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. At least 3 people were killed and dozens injured. The escalation follows Israeli airstrikes on Iran's nuclear sites in Natanz and Fordo, which Tehran says killed several scientists and guards. Tehran warned of further action if hostilities continue, while the Zionist regime vowed to respond with overwhelming force. Meanwhile, Iran on Saturday said dialogue with the United States over its nuclear program is now meaningless. An Iranian foreign ministry spokesperson accused the US of giving Israel the green light to attack and said Washington cannot claim to negotiate while dividing work with the Tel Aviv regime. He also said a decision on whether to attend planned talks in Muscat on Sunday has yet to be made. Washington has denied any role in the strike and urged Tehran to return to negotiations. For US President Donald Trump, the attack was coming, but he still believes a deal is possible. Meanwhile, Wisma Putra has issued a travel advisory urging Malaysians to avoid non-essential travel to Iran, Iraq and Jordan following escalating tensions between Iran and Israel. In a statement, the foreign ministry said the situation has led to the closure of airspaces in the 3 countries. Malaysians in the region are advised to anticipate potential disruptions to flight schedules and make the necessary adjustments to their travel plans. It said non-essential travel to these areas should be deferred given the unpredictable nature of the conflict. The ministry also urged Malaysians in Iran to remain vigilant, monitor developments closely, follow instructions from local authorities, and update their contact details with the Malaysian embassy in Tehran. The foreign ministry said it remains committed to safeguarding the welfare and safety of Malaysian citizens abroad through its diplomatic missions. For the first time ever, all private education and training institutions in Malaysia will be granted a 1-year levy exemption starting January 1st, 2026. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the move aims to allow these institutions to focus on strengthening the quality of education to meet future challenges. Speaking at the launch of the National Training Week 2025 in Kuala Lumpur on Saturday, Anwar said the exemption will apply to all levels of private education, including preschools, primary and secondary schools, vocational institutions, higher learning centres and skills training providers.
Pertama kali dalam sejarah, kerajaan hari ini mengumumkan pengecualian pembayaran levy selama setahun bagi semua institusi pendidikan mulai 1 Januari 2026. Ini untuk membolehkan mereka beri tumpuan meningkatkan mutu.
The Prime Minister also instructed the Secretaries General of 2 ministries to monitor the institutions and ensure their services remain top-notch after the exemption, aligned with government efforts to prepare the younger generation for the digital age and energy transition. Under the Human Resources Development Act, or Act 612, employers are required to pay a levy to the Human Resource Development Corporation, an agency under the Human Resources Ministry for Training and Skills Development. The government has approved a special allocation of 30 million ringgit to help media organizations embrace digital transformation and adopt emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence. Anwar said the initiative is a crucial form of support, particularly for younger journalists, to ensure they are well equipped for technological advancements. The announcement was made during the launch of the National Journalists' Day Hawana celebration at the World Trade Center in Kuala Lumpur. The Prime Minister described it as the largest ever allocation granted to the local media industry, with further details to be announced soon.
Tapi saya setuju untuk memperuntukkan satu dana yang relatif besar membantu organisasi media dan negara, mulanya pada Sigma sebagai langkah awal, tapi umumnya dengan apa juga cara supaya transformasi digital itu berlaku.
He also reminded the media to uphold truth, justice and humanity even as they embrace new technologies like AI.
Cabaran kita menggapai langit. Tetapi jangan kita kesampingkan keutamaan kita. Mempertahankan nilai kita, etika kita yang bersandarkan kepada kebenaran dan keadilan. Itu mengakar ke bumi.
During the event, Anwar presented the Hawana 2025 award to Malaysian Press Institute MPI President Datuk Yong Su Hyong. The Hawana 2025 Special Award was posthumously conferred to the late Rozaid Abdul Rahman, former Director of Media and Strategic Communications at the Prime Minister's Office. The award was received by his eldest son, Ross Arifin. Meanwhile, TV3's Islamic Content Department was crowned champion of the Hawana DBP 2025 Poetry Showcase. At the same event, Communications Minister Datuk Fahmi Fadzil announced that the Malaysian Media Council Act 2024, which was passed in Parliament last February, has officially come into force on Saturday. The Gazette was signed by the Minister himself, marking what he described as a significant milestone in reform for media practitioners in the country. Fahmi said the chosen date for enforcement was symbolic, serving as a tribute to the journalism industry in conjunction with the National Journalists' Day celebration.
Dengan adanya Majlis Media Malaysia, banyak daripada perkara yang mungkin selama ini ingin disuarakan oleh rakan-rakan media mempunyai satu wacana yang bermakna dan akan terus beroperasi tidak kira siapa yang menjadi kerajaan.
The minister also announced that the founding board of the Malaysian Media Council, comprising 12 members, has been finalised. A discussion session will be held soon to outline the implementation plan and the council's strategic direction. In another development, Fahmi also announced that local media practitioners will soon be eligible for a one-off 50% discount on round-trip flight tickets to 57 ASEAN destinations. The initiative is part of a new benefit package for journalists in conjunction with Malaysia's chairmanship of ASEAN this year. A preliminary investigation into the Greek crash, which claimed the lives of 15 University Pendidikan Sultan Idris UPSI students, has found no evidence of brake failure or mechanical malfunction. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the initial technical report by Puspakom confirmed that all brake components, including the linings and drums on each axle, were in good condition. In a statement on Saturday, the Transport Minister said the inspection also found no signs of uneven wear or thinning that could have contributed to the crash. Other essential systems such as the tyres, steering and suspension were also inspected and found to comply with safety standards with no signs of failure. Loke said the initial technical report by Puspakom confirmed that all brake components, including the linings and drums on each axle, were in good condition. Lok said appropriate safety enhancement would be introduced once the final report is released, emphasizing the ministry's commitment to road safety and regulatory enforcement. On June 12, Lok issued a stern warning to the bus driver involved in the crash, cautioning him against making false claims as these can be verified through mechanical testing. The bus driver, 39-year-old Muhammad Amirul Fadli Zulkifli, had earlier said brake failure caused the crash. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has seized 141 million ringgit in domestic assets and traced another 15 million ringgit abroad in connection with the alleged misappropriation of Sukuk funds meant for a Klang Valley Highway project. The funds are believed to be linked to a highway concessionaire bearing the title Tan Sri. According to MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki, the seized assets include 4.5 million ringgit from individual accounts, 33 million ringgit from company accounts, 24.5 million ringgit in luxury condominiums and land, 26 million ringgit in high-end watches, 7.65 million ringgit in 9 luxury vehicles, and 10 million ringgit worth of jewelry and diamonds. Also confiscated were 6 million ringgit worth of designer handbags, 3 million ringgit in gold bars, figurines and coins, and 4 horses valued at 400,000 ringgit. The 15 million ringgit in overseas assets is still being traced. Additionally, about 25 million ringgit from the proceeds of illicit activities was used on alcohol and gambling. The total value of assets and transactions uncovered in this Sukuk fund abuse case stands at 156 million ringgit. The MACC is now working with authorities such as Bank Negara Malaysia and the Attorney General's chambers to gather information on overseas assets and properties. Azam said that the statement recording process involving the Tan Sri is ongoing and will resume on June 19. So far, statements from 54 individuals have been recorded to assist with investigations. In Pahang, 2 people were killed and 2 others injured in a collision involving a lorry and a car in Kuantan. Kuantan District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Wan Muhammad Zahari Wan Busu said the crash occurred at about 3:30 p.m. on Saturday at Batu 12, Jalan Kuantan, Maran. A family of 3 was travelling in the car when it was rammed by a lorry that veered out of control from the opposite direction. A car passenger, 57-year-old Norihan Mustafa, died at the scene. The lorry driver, 24-year-old M. Jayavarman, who was trapped in his vehicle, was rescued by fire and rescue personnel. He later succumbed to his injuries at the Tengku Ampuan Afzan Hospital. Kuala Lumpur police are working to identify the suspects involved in a shooting that left 1 man dead and 2 others injured at a restaurant on Jalan Tun Sambatan in Brickfields on Friday night. Brickfields Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Ku Masha Riman Ku Mahmud said police are currently tracking down at least 2 people who were seen approaching the victims on a motorcycle. The 3 men, aged between 30 and 50, were having a meal with several friends at about 11 p.m. when they were approached by the 2 suspects.
Sebenarnya diorang ni sedang menjamu selera di kedai yang di tempat kejadian ni, dan secara tiba-tiba 2 suspek telah hadir dengan menaiki motosikal dan terus melepaskan tembakan terhadap beberapa orang yang sedang menjamu selera tersebut.
He said it remains unclear whether the suspects are local or foreigners. Further investigation is underway, including the review of CCTV footage to determine the motive and identify the suspects involved. The motive is still under investigation. Police also urged anyone with information on the incident to contact the police to assist with the probe. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for murder. This Father's Day, a new look at modern fatherhood. This and more after the break. Stay tuned.
Apabila datang, ia boleh mengambil alih kesemuanya, tubuh, minda dan hidup anda. Stres bukan sekadar tekanan perasaan tetapi boleh mengancam kesihatan secara keseluruhan. Kenalilah tanda-tanda stres sejak awal dan bincang mengenainya secara terbuka. Dapatkan sokongan moral dan emosi daripada orang di sekeliling anda serta bantuan profesional di saluran yang betul. Saksikan Hello Doktor Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3.
Serah gelak serah semata. Kata ya Allah, kata kena ke dia. Hendakan dia banyak lagi tanggungjawab kena buat gini. Kita orang susah dah.
Tak amat sedih lah. Tak boleh buat apa-apa dah sekarang. Selalulah Buletin macam gitu lah. Bapa aku nak tangguh semua ni. Aku banyak padahal tanggungjawab atas aku berlaku.
Dalam setiap doa tersembunyi sebuah harapan.
Stay positive, fokus kan. Jangan dengar cakap orang. Sebab kita cannot please people with a cup of tea.
Masihkah ada peluang meskipun langkah semakin mencabar?
Lain orang, lain badan, lain masalahnya.
Betul.
Kita duk ikut ni, makan ubat tu, makan suplemen ni, pergi jumpa ustaz dan semua. Tapi kita tak tahu dalam
apa
kita
kondisi badan
macam mana.
Pejuang Garis 2 kami bawakan dalam Hello Doktor Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. A 34-year-old man was injured when his car overturned after being rammed by a lorry. The incident occurred at around 8 a.m. on Friday at the traffic light junction in Taman Tas, Kuantan. During the incident, the lorry coming from the direction of Gambang failed to stop at the red light. The victim, identified as Yusuf Tan Kok Hau, sustained injuries and was taken to the Tengku Ampuan Afzan Hospital for treatment. The 55-year-old lorry driver was unharmed. The driver claimed the brakes on his vehicle had malfunctioned. Authorities also revealed that the lorry driver has 2 prior traffic offences on record. A 42-year-old Singaporean cyclist died after being involved in a road mishap along Jalan Gunung Pulai in Johor on Saturday morning. In the incident at around 10 a.m., the cyclist hit a pothole before he fell and was run over by a lorry. The victim, who was with 3 other cyclists, suffered severe head injuries and was pronounced dead at the scene. Kulai Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Tan Seng Lee said the deceased was sent to Hospital Temenggung Sri Maharaja Tun Ibrahim in Kulai for post-mortem. The case is being investigated under Section 41, Subsection 1 of the Road Transport Act. Fathers will often do whatever they can to be there for their children, even if they do not have always the words or the means to show it. Behind the quiet effort to provide and protect, there's a deeper story unfolding, one about learning, unlearning, and the changing shape of what it takes to be a dad today. Nightline's Muhammad Nadir Asfar has the story.
Fatherhood has never come with a manual, but now more men are starting to learn that it takes more than love, it takes skill. Today on Father's Day, we take a look at how some are starting to treat it as a craft, not just a role.
Fatherhood, while often seen as instinctive, is a role that benefits greatly from learning. Being a parent requires one to develop qualities such as being deliberate, emotionally present, and adaptable, key traits needed for a family to thrive. Recognizing that effective fatherhood requires continuous learning and support, organizations like Better Dads Malaysia have stepped in to fill this gap. Co-founders Jason Leong and Joshua Hong established the organization in 2019 to run workshops and programs designed to equip fathers with practical tools for their parenting journey.
We want to see every child in Malaysia grow up with a responsible, involved, committed father. Simple as that.
Jason believes that men often distance themselves from raising children, assuming it to be a responsibility better suited for women.
Too often the fathering or raising the child part has been left to the mothers. the father will say, okay, you take care. I'm the one outside, I will bring in the money. But it's not just about providing. Right? We often say that it takes a village to raise a child. But we forget that the village includes the fathers.
The workshops conducted by Better Dads Malaysia require fathers to talk about how they communicate and interact with their own children, prompting sharing between different fathers.
At the end of the day, every father who attends this workshop would have been able to put together his own personal action plan on how to be a better dad. So every module, every component, there will be questions of, okay, involvement. So what are the things that you need to do? What are the things that you want to do within 1 week, within 1 month, within the next 6 months?
Jason believes that fathers not only have to show up for their child, but also need to be more emotionally present when spending time with them.
And the children must have that assurance that I'm loved, I'm wanted, I'm valued, I'm appreciated. So that is something that will keep them really stable and really part of the family.
Fatherhood is no longer just a role. It's a responsibility that demands growth, reflection and support. As more fathers embrace this journey with intention, the next generation stands to gain the most. Muhammad Nadia Asfar, TV3.
Air India plane crash. Government announces high-level probe as black box decoding underway. The details when Nightline returns.
Sedap. Tengok tu, crispy je. Kalau tak sabar saya makan macam ni je. Cantik dan lembut. Meletup dalam mulut. Saya sangat suka kejadiannya. Jemput cuba.
Peningnya. Kecil ke besar? Kecil ke besar? Besar ke kecil? Mestilah I nak yang besar. Persoalannya, saiz apa yang puas? Mestilah saiz 65 inci. Lagi besar, lagi layan.
Juara!
Wow! Lagi layan tengok tonton dekat smart TV besar. RM9.90 je.
Lagi besar skrin, lagi puas stream. Layan tonton di smart TV. Repeat sampai pagi.
Sebagai suami tak berguna, sebagai bapa tak boleh pakai.
Cukup! Sebab dia nak jadi manusia yang bertanggungjawablah semua benda ni terjadi. Ibu cakap ceraikan Syah.
Ustazah, kau ni memang jenis bercakap tak tengok orang
Nombor 1, saya bukan ustazah.
Kau nak ugut aku, Aminah?
Awak ingat awak seorang je kan yang boleh main ugut-ugut?
Sayang sangat. Aku tengok siapa yang nak tolong bapa macam kau ni.
Ni ada bersedia dengan apa hukuman. Pasal punya ni ada buat.
In other news, India's Civil Aviation Minister on Saturday said a high-level probe panel has been launched with a 3-month deadline to probe the Air India flight that killed over 270 people. British investigators and anti-terror squads arrived to assist with the probe after the second black box was recovered from the wreckage, with teams combing the debris for more evidence. With the recovered black box, which is currently being decoded, investigators are now focusing on engine thrust, wing flaps and landing gear deployment. As for Air India's entire Boeing 787 fleet, a safety inspection is underway. In Indonesia, authorities were looking for 2 Australian gunmen suspected of fatally shooting an Australian tourist and injuring another at a villa on the resort island of Bali. The deceased was identified as 32-year-old Zivan Radmanovic from Melbourne. The second victim, a 35-year-old man named Sana, who suffered injuries, remains in intensive care at the hospital in Denpasar. While a full investigation is underway, witnesses told police 2 men were seen fleeing the scene on motorcycles and were heard speaking English with an Australian accent. Now, here are some sports items. The government has agreed to expedite the establishment of Malaysia's first national sepak takraw academy, with completion targeted by the end of this year. In announcing this on Saturday night, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the decision reflects the government's commitment to strengthening traditional sports and nurturing homegrown talent to compete at the highest levels.
Sepak takraw telah mencatat prestasi yang membanggakan di peringkat region, rantau dan juga dunia, dan menarik semua di bandar dan di desa. Hampir setiap kampung dan desa ada pasukan dan permainan sepak takraw. Kita hidupkan kerana ada kaitan dengan seni budaya kita. Dan oleh itu, saya setuju untuk menyegerakan kelulusan penubuhan akademi sepak takraw.
Anwar said this when launching the National Youth Day in Dataran Merdeka in the federal capital. He said with the growing interest among Malaysian youth in both traditional and modern recreational activities, such pursuits should be supported as long as they remain within cultural values and norms. Anwar also announced that the government has agreed to allocate 4 million ringgit to the Malaysian Youth Council to strengthen youth development. On to tennis, the 2025 HSBC Championships in London. China's Olympic champion Zheng Qinwen reached the semi-finals on grass for the first time in her career as she knocked out home favourite Emma Raducanu on Friday. The 22-year-old held on to overcome Raducanu's attempted comeback, securing a straight sets victory of 6-2, 6-4 after an hour and 49 minutes in the Andy Murray Arena. In the contest, Raducanu secured a double break to go 3-love up in the second set after taking a medical timeout for a back issue, but was eventually overpowered by the Chinese world number 5. Zheng next placed Amanda Anisimova in the semi-finals after the 8th-seed American outclassed her compatriot Emma Navarro 6-3, 6-3. From the 3-3 in the opening set, Anisimova won 5 straight games and never allowed Navarro a chance to mount a comeback, finishing victorious by turning defense into offense and completing the last 4 lineup. This time around, before we go, a look at Britain's royal family at the King's birthday parade in London on Saturday, where King Charles led a tribute to victims of the Air India crash. With With that, I'm Zahir, Kelvin Abdullah. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your weekend.